Welcome to Authentic Magnetism, the channel. We help coaches, course creators, and spiritual entrepreneurs find their authentic voice and magnetize soul-aligned clients. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and follow along for more. Now let's get on with the episode. Hey everyone, and welcome. Today I'm going to talk about money and human design and new age concepts and how they all interact with each other. And I responded to something last week, and I can't remember what I responded to, but I created the presentation that's going to end up on the YouTube video for this piece of content while I was in that response, or while I was responding to that thing. But now I don't really remember what it is that I was responding to. So I try to give examples, and I try to tell you as I'm creating the content what I'm responding to, so you can see how that mechanism of response works in relation to content creation. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out there, I'm doing that intentionally to describe how this works with how I'm creating content and how I'm using response to drive how I'm creating content. So let's talk money. Let's dive into it. So the first thing I want to say is money is not a dirty word. We all typically have some version of wounding around concepts of money. And I think when we're drawn to being entrepreneurs, we're choosing to earn our money by creating it ourselves. And I think a big piece of that is that we're choosing to take on our money wounding and address some of the wounding and conditioning that we have around money. And sometimes I think it's also a piece of it is we want to have that control over our working environments, and money sometimes as the concept is how we keep score in business, but sometimes it's like it's secondary to being able to control the lifestyle that we want and make the choices that we want to make in terms of how and when and who we work with. And I think that's a big part of what draws a lot of people to entrepreneurship is being able to make those decisions. But I think the trade-off for that is that when we're running our businesses, it means that we have to make enough money to at very least replace the income that we would have generated if we were working for someone else. So money becomes this like very important piece of doing business. And I wish that we could take that out of it, because how much more authentic would it be if we were running businesses without having that money piece? Because I think it can create a lot of stress. It can create a lot of roadblocks. Sometimes it can shut down businesses before they really get off the ground. Most of the time, that's why businesses shut down is, cash flow issues or issues with being able to consistently generate income in your business. So let's talk a little bit about that and how it interacts with human design. I'm not going to get into kind of the money energetics in this. This is more of kind of an overview presentation, but at some point in the future, I will create some kind of content around, specific places to look in your chart for that money energy. So a couple other things that I wanted to mention before we move on is that, sometimes needing to make money in your business gets in the way of making the impact that you want and the lifestyle that you desire. So, law of attraction. I had been in the kind of new age concept philosophy, law of attraction, basically like I was a late teenager when The Secret came out. It was very influential in what kind of positioned my beliefs around generating money, around manifestation. But one of the things that I have now in retrospect seen when I combine the concepts of manifestation with human design is that the new age concepts, I really struggled to be able to be in action, right? Like a lot of what it is you have to, you have to send out the frequency of what you want, and you have to think about it, and you have to feel good about it, and you have to believe that it's coming. But I think where it lets us down is that aligned action piece, because
I think if anyone's been in business for any length of time, you can't think your way, you can't feel your way to a business. You have to do the business things. There's a real work and churn of creation, of setting up structures in your business. Like the back end of your business has to be set up for you to be able to get money, for you to be able to receive money. You need to have a payment processor, and it needs to be connected to some way where people can say, yes, I want to buy your thing, right? Like that doesn't happen on its own. And I think that new age concept of law of attraction and manifestation has in ways done us a disservice by kind of giving us this idea that it should be easy and that it's easy for everybody else. And that it kind of leads to this magical thinking of, if I get clear about what I want and I hold the vibe and I'm, in this, and sometimes what that leads to is a lot of really that, what is that positivity? There's a phrase that I'm looking for here, toxic positivity around it. And in the end, what I found was, my results were pretty scattered when I didn't have the anchor of human design with strategy and authority to keep me in aligned action, which keeps me moving towards the goals that I'm working on, and especially the money goals that I'm looking at in my business. So I think what we really need to do is look at how do we align those two concepts. And I think we take the best of both worlds. We take the concept with law of attraction of making sure that we are clear on what we want, of the, holding that positive vibe, but also while we're holding that positive vibe, we're using our strategy and authority and strategy, depending on how this comes into your life. Your, generators are responding, projectors are being invited, manifestors are being initiated, and reflectors are going to have that really elongated, essentially, response for projectors as well. So, we're aware of what's coming into our life that's kind of stimulating our actions, and we're following those aligned actions based on the authority that you have. So I'm not going to list off all the authorities because there's a whole other video I can do on each of the different authorities over time that I probably will. But you want to combine these two because it helps you stay clear about what you want. It helps you hold that vibe, but then it helps you keep moving towards your goals and keep moving towards what you want. Because without that movement, you're not going to just manifest out of nothing. You're not going to manifest with no action. And I specifically chose action over effort because a lot of times alignment, it does feel effortless, and it feels great to be able to move in this effortless space of manifestation, and the idea of, emoting and holding that frequency. But without that aligned action, it stays in your head, right? So I think the strategy and authority of human design is what pulls the doing piece and the getting it done so that you can actually build what you're looking to build. So I wanted to talk about comparison and the internet, because as a business owner, we are always on social media. Every digital business owner I know has to use social media in some capacity. And I think because we're always bombarded with all these messages, we start to create these comparisons in our head. And I think there's a lot of exaggerated messaging around money, around how easy it should be to get clients in. I'm tired of the narrative of overnight I made millions of dollars. That most of the time is not the experience of business owners. But when we're consistent with aligned action, that's how you can generate money within your business and sustainability within your business, rather than, this, and I don't know, so my first point on the slideshow, if you are watching along on YouTube, is that people on the internet lie. Or at very least, they're exaggerating their results because they are using it to obviously get you to take an action, like buy their product, which is something that, as digital business owners, we're doing that as well. So and we want to make sure that people understand the benefits of our offers and the benefits of the things we're offering in our offers and products and all the things we're selling. But I think there's an integrity in the way that we message what our offers have to give people and what the promise of our offers are. And I wish we would be, as a society, stop buying into the easy money, it's going to happen overnight kind of thing, because it sets up this comparison with all of what you're doing in your business and what I'm doing in my business. And for the vast majority of people, it takes time to build an audience. It takes time to dial in your messaging so that you are able to communicate and create connection with people enough that they want to purchase your offer or your product. So it's really not fair to compare yourself to others, and yet it's almost impossible not to. Another thing that I wanted to say is that a lot of times people don't know what they did to achieve success. Whether that's they didn't record their process, they didn't do a lot of reflection, they, generated, maybe they did generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales in a launch, but most of the time people really don't fully understand what they did to get those results. And I think another piece of this is that everybody's energy is going to engage with the free market in different ways. So you, with your unique energetic signature, can do the exact same things that somebody else did, and you won't get the same results, or maybe you'll get better results, or maybe you will get less good results. And I think another piece of this is that it can lead to paralysis in your own business, or doing things kind of frantically that aren't working for you. So I think a big piece of this is, one, we do need to slow things down and be reflective of how your content is landing. Be reflective of how you can improve processes, launches, the things that you're doing to generate income in your business. Sometimes we focus on things that aren't bringing the money in while we're ignoring the things that do. And there's a lot of reasons why that might happen. When I work with people in coaching situations, sometimes it's mindset. Sometimes they have this inability to receive, or there's mindset blocks around money. Sometimes there's mindset blocks around doing the thing they think is scary. One of the mindset blocks that I struggle with over and over again is that being visible can be scary. And that the more I hit my authentic presentation and my authentic voice and the way that I present myself as a business owner, the more attention I get, which a lot of times that creates that imposter syndrome and things that, they trigger some of my trauma buttons and all those things. So it's imagine if you're a fish and you're being reeled in, and all of a sudden you see the boat and you start fighting. Now, I realize that this isn't necessarily a perfect analogy, because for the fish, it's not a good idea to get reeled in. But imagine if this is kind of the concept of money, but we're fighting the money, even though we want to bring the money in to our lives, to our businesses. So let's talk a little bit more about the mindset, and also let's talk about the concept in business that money is a necessity. Cash flow is a necessity. You need to be able to bring in enough money to pay for the things that your business needs. Things like your email server. You need to be able to pay for all the, if you're doing ads, you need to be able to pay for your subscriptions for, your membership site maybe. There are necessities that you need to be able to bring in a baseline amount of money before you even consider paying yourself, before you even consider, the what's being sold to us as buying the lifestyle, the dream, taking your laptop to the beach and quitting your job and all these things that, we think this business will do and solve. And it can and it will, but we have to grow our businesses to those points before we can actually start doing the growth things in our business. And I think there's a big disconnect, especially in new entrepreneurs. Maybe they make the first few sales and then they're like, great, like I can do this full time. But then they start to realize that, you need to be able to consistently bring that money in to be able to stay in business. And that's why I think what's the statistic, like 70% of businesses go out of business in the first 18 months. That's not I would almost argue that that's potentially even low when we look at businesses, and especially online businesses, where I bet there's a lot of online businesses that launch that never really register as businesses in that stat. I think that stat was based off of bricks and mortar businesses. So so a couple mindset traps that I often see people get into with money is that they have equated money some way to being bad. So whether it's bad to have money, it's bad, I'm a bad person if I have more than my share. That's one that I see come up a lot. I see a mindset of like, with so many people suffering in the world, who am I to want to have the beach house, right? Or who am I to have that goal around money? And working through some of these things is going to be necessary for you to be able to receive the money that you want. Now, one thing that I really work with a lot of entrepreneurs on is equating money to impact in your business. If you do not have sufficient money coming into your business, you can't have the impact that you need and want in your business. You can't reach as many people. You can't get your message out there to the people who really need it if you are just struggling to keep your head above water in your business, because it's really hard to be able to create from that place of need and of not having enough. So so I've got a few other mindset traps that I've kind of listed here. So before we go on to the next points, let's just take them off. Another one that is a really sneaky one that I see a lot, especially in this kind of spiritual business realm, is that engaging in capitalism means that you aren't spiritual. And I usually tie this back to, we live in a society where it's essential to make money. You don't eat and have shelter and have the needs of your body and your life met if you're not engaging in capitalism. But this is one that I see it's really sneaky in the spiritual realms of, capitalism is bad. And I notice this in myself too. Like I really have some strong feelings and opinions about our society, where we have people at the top who make trillions of dollars, and the disproportionate distribution of wealth within our system. So there's this like cognitive dissonance with me, because I do think that is wrong, the way our system keeps funneling. Anyway, this is a conversation for another day. So but if you kind of start saying things, or you notice yourself saying things about capitalism and how it's evil, or the system, or those kind of things, you really want to start questioning that, because is that opinion or is that mindset preventing you from drawing money into your world and into your business? And another hugely common one is that you have to work hard for money. And I have spent a whole bunch of this presentation talking about how we need to take aligned action, and you do have to, in a lot of ways, you do have to work for money, and not every aligned action that you take in your business is going to feel effortless. And we can also equate that there are certain things that we have to do and certain requirements and effort that we have to have before we're worthy of money, or before we're worthy of receiving that. And that is something that you want to kind of address and work through if you're trying to be a business owner, because, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're doing everything in your business, You don't have time to keep stumbling over making things harder on yourself than you actually need to make them. And then on the other end of this is that, you don't have to do anything and money will just come to you, this magical thinking, and where I see this is that, I will just manifest it, and, and I already kind of talked about what my opinion of that is that I think manifestation needs this aligned action piece that we get with human design, of being able to keep moving towards those goals and actually generating that money, because it does take some doing and your business doesn't run itself. Okay, so that's the mindset traps. So human design, it does help us get clear on the actions that we need to take, of the relationships that we need to develop, of the structures that you want to put in place in your business. Using strategy and authority to make these decisions really helps you create that momentum in your world and your business. And then on the more kind of micro side of things, it does help us create content that is aligned to our energy, because essentially when we look at kind of money and human design, and this is maybe more of a Gene Keys approach to money, but it is about the frequency that we're putting out and the way that we're receiving and the way that we're giving as well. Like there's an energy of receiving money, there's an energy of spending money, and it's always in this flow and cycle. And if we have any kind of roadblocks or issues with that cycle at any point, we start to experience in your business cash flow issues. So what is the right action? You want to focus on the right things in your business and take the right actions in your business. And oftentimes it's not money. Oftentimes we kind of get caught up in this idea of money because money is the scorekeeper in business. It really just is. Like that's I think how a lot of times we determine whether our business is successful or not is whether it's generating money. And, for good or bad, I'm not sure. I think this is actually a neutral thing. I think you can disengage the scorekeeping aspect of money to the point, like up to the point of having the needs of your business met by the money that it's generating. So if money is tight, it's the only thing that you're going to be able to focus on. And that is a terrible frequency to be emitting, to be generating content, to be engaging with customers and clients and building relationships from. Wanting or reaching energy is the quickest way to push money away. And there's this paradox as you're beginning your business and really learning how to bring money in, because it is a skill that you learn how to do in your business. So, so you have to kind of work through that skill of bringing money in, of being able to take action towards money, of focusing in on the things that are essential to do, the structures, the processes, the things that you need to have in place in your business, plus holding that energetic vibe. And you also want to consider, as a new business, having a safety net with your business so that you can have time to grow your business before you need it to earn and pay the bills for you. And this is something these are conversations I've had with new entrepreneurs over and over and over again. They make a little bit of money, they quit their job because they're making money, and then now their business has to make money, and all of a sudden they have this tipping point and they have this crisis because their business isn't bringing the money in. And a lot of times it's because you didn't give it enough time to mature and to create that consistency in your business and in your actions as the business owner to generate that money. So again, law of attraction meets human design. Law of attractions help us get clear on what we want, on the outcome and the feeling and the emotion that we want to create with bringing money in, and that expectation. But then the action piece, to me, that's where human design comes in, because strategy and authority help you keep taking that right action and doing the things that you need to create money in your business. So aligning energy with action is what it's all about. And having an understanding of your unique energetics, it helps you ensure that your offers, messaging, content, everything that you build in your business is built around the brand of you, that authentic voice. My brand name is Authentic Magnetism, because if you can really hit that authentic vibe in everything that you're creating, you are magnetic to the right clients. And there's something called fractal lines in human design, but also mostly in Gene Keys is where I learned the depth of kind of about fractal lines, which, essentially so there's a little bit of question whether you, like everybody derives like all of our energies derive from three core units of energy. Now, at some point along the way, and this is I think it's the 44th gene key that describes this process of fractal lines and how it's split. But there's at some point it came to like 140,000 fractal lines that are kind of the core fractal lines, or the core energetics that everybody is one part of, and you're the people that vibe with that same energy are on the same fractal line, and it talks about kind of attracting your fractal line to you, which I think is a really good way of looking at it. But I think that's also, it has enough meat for its own video just on fractal lines. And I'll do a little bit more research and prep, so I'm really like ready to talk about fractal lines. I didn't think that's where I was going with this today. So kind of back to aligning action and energy. Your business infrastructure has to be in place to move your clients through a customer journey, which includes having some way of receiving their money and then delivering your service, which I know this sounds really Mickey Mouse. And yet I think when we go into business, sometimes we forget that there's a mechanic of it, and we piece together our tech without a good cohesive plan. So anyway, that's something to kind of consider is also like, what is the best tech solution for you? And especially as newbies in business, you have to be very conscious of how much you're spending on your tech solutions as well. So anyway, that's back to a cash flow issue if we really think of it. But if we are able to really hit that vibe, that authentic voice, things start to get easier. Your content creation gets easier. Your content starts to land with the right people, and they start to notice what you're doing. And if you're doing that in that authentic voice and presentation, then it really is attractive to people, and it helps pave the way for when you have something for sale and you ask for that sale. But you stop really struggling to figure out what to say on what platform when you're clear on who you are, what you offer, and how you communicate. And then the other piece that I think is really beautiful when you start to see it is that you start to build trust in yourself. You build trust that you are capable of generating money on demand when you want to within your business. You figure out what it means to vibe with your authentic magnetism. And you start to trust yourself to be able to solve more and more complex problems. You also learn how to utilize your strategy and authority to experience your signature. So that signature for generators is satisfaction, manifestors is peace, projectors is success, and reflectors is surprise or delight. So what you really want to do is stay in that, use that as a navigational beacon. Because if you can stay within that emotional realm of your signature, it's going to help your nervous system gain trust that you're not in danger all the time. Because even when you have positive things that are change, your nervous system is going to have a trauma response to even positive things in your life. So it is important to build that trust that you're not in danger when you start to do new things. And one of those things is bringing money into your business. And then it removes the resistance to the success and money naturally. If we can hit all of these vibes of alignment and fractal line and that authentic voice. But what it really comes down to is you're following your strategy and authority to do the things you need to do in your business to make the money. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciated this conversation. I did see that some were joining us live. Hello. My setup here, I multi-purpose my setup so that I'm recording on one device and I'm recording on another device, and I don't get to see who's kind of watching along live, but I do appreciate that you stayed with me all the way to the end, and please like, comment, follow. We love seeing you here. Okay, have a good day.
Hey, VIP day sessions are available now. If you're looking to get help in your business right now with one-to-one support, looking at your design and how it works with your business, this is the session for you. Click the link below and book now.